It wasn't so much that my opponents had good decks. They did, but it was like the way the cards lined up. Like every turn, they just kind of had something. To make it. Even the game I won, like, it was so close. Alright, well, starting afresh, what are we going to do? Have I played Zir'an recently? I might not have. Oh, thank you, Livon. You've cheered me, I think. My Twitch isn't quite done you. We couldn't save Cassie. It's so true. I'm kind of tempted to try Zir'an, actually. I haven't played Lilith in a while. I haven't played Lionel in a little while. And they are quite fun to do in Gauntlet. Zir'an's BBS is like not the best, but it's kind of interesting to try and make it work. Oh, here's an interesting one, actually. So this is obviously really good with Zir'an, because it's already tanky and she can prey off that. But Lasting Judgment is a really efficient removal spell that helps get rid of ranged units, make early trades, get rid of threatening 2-drops, flyers, and so on. So I think it's probably more important. I'll go with this. This is also good for bursting people. Easy Veil Hunter. So far so good. Sunbreaker, Capricious Marauder, War Adjudicator. This card's pretty good, actually. The Sunbreaker is like most likely the pick. Force Field is just such a good line of text. But I do like the Adjudicator. Like protecting your ranged units is nice. After suffering through Starhorn and Ilena, you deserve the Ragnora. I don't even like Ragnora in draft. Like, when you play against Ragnora, once you've got a couple of wins, their decks are always good, but actually drafting it is so feast and famine. Like, the people you play against will usually have, you know, the Wild Inceptor and stuff, and that's because all the people who didn't just fell off. I think Ragnora is the strongest of the Magmar generals, because, you know, eggs are ridiculous, but, like, the actual experience of drafting Magmar in general in Gauntlet is really rough, because they have so many, like, they have some really, really good cards and some really, really bad ones. I feel so bad when you don't get the good ones. Like, you just forget how many garbage cards they have until you're staring down, like, your 4th copy of Tremor that it's offered you, and you're like, why? Why is it doing this to me? Let me see. What do people think? This is a pretty interesting decision. These two are both clearly ahead of the Marauder. I don't like Marauder very much. I've not really been able to play it before when I've drafted it. But I know Sunbreaker is good. And actually, to be fair, Sunbreaker is AoE, and that's probably more important than War Adjudicator's ability. Like, just having some access to AoE. And whenever my opponent plays this card, it's always kind of scary. Yeah, let's pick the Sunbreaker. But hey, you could always get something like Scar's Egg, which would be a free win. Don't remind me. Ooh, Suntide Maiden is very nice, but I think the Fizzling Mystic still takes it. Card is just too good. It is close though. Suntide Maiden is pretty fantastic, and it is nice with Sunbreaker. And if we do get any heal synergy cards, it's pretty strong. But then this also heals, so shrug. Let's take the one that's removal. Ooh! Oh my goodness. That's exciting. So Decimus is kind of a ranged unit. It's 2 damage a turn from afar is like, okay, we're not going to have any real ways of comboing off with this. So it's not a particularly exciting card, but it is reasonably threatening. Like, it's basically, you get Warbird, which is not bad. Namavor is kind of similar. Like, it's really, really, really hard to mill somebody out in this format. So this card is mostly just blank, but, you know, it's a 7/7 body that your opponent is like, oh no, they have a Namavor. But Elix is fantastic. Immediate board impact, always good, efficiently costed, has tons of relevant text on, so I'm just slamming her. Yeah. I wanted to discuss the other two, but, like, Elix is just so far and away the right pick there. Oh, this is interesting. Decorated Enlistee and Silver God Knight. I think the Enlistee is pretty cool, and obviously we are playing the general for it. But I think Silver God Knight is too strong. Like, its kind of downside is a lot more manageable than Decorated Enlistees, I think. And Provoke is such good rules text. Bond is fine, by the way. Like, not to completely disparage Bond, but I'm not picking it over like these high tier minions. Damn it, Divine Bond is so fun, but Silver God is too strong. Agreed. Yeah. This is a good draft so far. Oh my god, more legendaries. Oh my god. It's like literally my two pet legendaries. Pandora and Ruby Rifter. That's fantastic. Oh my god. How do I choose between my daughters? So Pandora was it wasn't the first legendary I opened, it was the second, but it was the first good legendary I opened. And I will take any excuse I can to play this card. Ruby Rifter is precious to me because it's a card that I think is really good, that is mostly unplayed. And I first tried it in, like, me and Baronian were kind of talking, oh man, what if we played Ruby Rifter Zir'an? That sounds kind of rad. Because, you know, you play like all the 1 mana heal 5 and stuff, and you just sit there motoring through your deck and not dying. And it worked really, really well. And since then I've been playing it in like slow mid-range decks that tend to get up close. Like, it's good with Ilina, for instance. Because you're usually in your opponent's face. And they're hitting you to get rid of Ice Shatter Gauntlet. Pandora, I honestly don't know. They're both genuinely just like so really, really, really good. We have a Sunbreaker as well, which combos kind of well with Ruby Rifter. Can even... Oh no, you can't ping yourself. First name Mystic. Boo. Boo. The card that makes Ruby Rifter really good though is Magnetize, because she just kind of sits in the back and becomes a 14-6 and then you kill your opponent. But Pandora is nicer because you can kind of throw her in the front and she immediately has some impact. Meet halfway and choose Alter X Kappa. Can you imagine that misclick? Like, I'm not even mousing over it. I don't even want to mention it. I'm just like afraid of that misclick. This is genuinely a really difficult decision. I think these cards are both very close and very, very strong. Like, it doesn't really matter because generally if I play one, it will win me the game. I guess Pandora like dies to fewer things. Because Rifter dies to like Sunset Paragon and stuff, whereas Pandora only really dies to Plasma Storm. But she does die pretty hard to Plasma Storm. She's also better against Dispel. Yeah, let's go with Pandora. Cell Soul, Fate Sealer, Lightbender. We don't really need this, in particular because we've already got a bunch of legendaries. Cell Soul is kind of good. Like, it's good stats. I don't like the 4 damage to the face. That is quite a big downside, but it's useful if we end up getting some heal synergy together. I mean, we have no heal payoff cards and 1 self-heal, so I wouldn't hold our breath. Yeah, you're probably right. I think it is just Lightbender. It's such a strong bit of interaction. Another Fate Sealer, meh. Silhouette, no. And a Soul Piercer, that's a good card. Nice big body for a ranged unit. This curve is kind of bad though. Oh, and here's Bright Moss Golem to save the day. Hell yeah. I think I like Bright Moss Golem more than Necroseer. Like, Necroseer has a very attractive line of text on it, but in practice, Bright Moss Golem kind of does that anyway because it dies, air quotes, and you get to keep a 4/4 in play, if you know what I mean. Like, you trade with something and then it's still alive afterwards. Plus, we can heal it, so having a few, like, super high toughness minions in this deck is really good for us to just spam Zir'an's BBS on, or to not feel too bad about Sunbreakering while they're in play. Piercing Mantis. No! No! Never. Bright must go until the day I die. Oh, baby. Ooh. Okay, there's a meme card. We're going to ignore that. just to clarify, we're ignoring the Lodestar. Circle of Life, Bloodbond Mantle. Circle of Life is pretty good. It always feels bad when your opponent casts this against you, but it feels kind of clunky in the hand. It is a very strong card though, and like the fact that it gives you 2 things that you need in one convenient package is pretty good, and it also, obviously, if we do pick up any heal synergy cards, it's nice to have the effect available to us. Mentor, on the other hand, is an amazing 3-drop with a source of repeated card advantage. Also kind of cute with Sunbreaker, because putting a Tempest in your hand and then letting your opponent forget about it is kind of neat. Is drawing cards better than gaining life and removing things? Genuinely hard to say. Attack Circle of Life, a 3-drop would be nice, but Zir'an's is recurring Zir'an's BBS is like not why we'd pick this card. Like, you just BBS and then immediately replace it. Although I guess one pretty good point is that it does require us to spend the mana in order to do that, and often we won't get any value out of it in play. So maybe you're right, maybe Circle of Life is the pick. We don't really have a ton of removal. Like, we've got one Lasting Judgment so far. Oh, we've got a Fizzling Mystic and a Lightbender as well, so it's not too bad. But yeah, let's pick this. There's some interesting decisions in this draft. Ooh, a good 2-drop. Build 1. When this minion is built, give nearby friendly minions +3 health. That seems kind of strong, but kind of hard to use. Like, you normally want to just drop it early. I guess it's nice to have a card that has an effect later on. And Legion isn't bad either. But I think I want the Windblade Adept. I have a single 2-drop so far. I'm going to need to pick some up, and this one's a good one. Can I actually take Vigilator? I think that's defensible. Now I'm picking Suntide Maiden. Although we're already kind of a bit chock full on 4s, but never mind. Lyceum Brawler, slow to True Strike. Oh, what a dud. This is a bad one. It's probably the True Strike, to be honest. It's bad, but it's still cheap removal. Come on, Charger, baby. No. No. It kills Veil Hunter, like, and Pyromancer and stuff. Dealing 2 damage to things isn't terrible. And it combines reasonably well with a general hit. It's probably better than, like, this medium 4-drop and this Battle Pet. Slow is surprisingly good. Slow is okay. The problem with slow is that it does hold your opponent up for a turn, and then you're down a card. So if you haven't, like, killed them in the meantime, it costs you a ton to do that. Like, you really need to be beating them down quickly or setting up something super strong for that to matter. I think I've had slow be good against me once. Like, it's not a particularly appealing effect. Like, basically since the nerf to 1 mana from like 2 years ago, the card has not been great. It's similar to Rock Pulverizer, which, like, I have warmed to, I admit, but I've warmed to Rock Pulverizer in that, like, it's a 2-drop that can do something later, as opposed to it's a 2-drop that does nothing later, like most 2-drops. Whereas slow is a battle pet, so it's bad as a 2-drop because it can't contest mana tiles very well, and it's bad later because it's a 1/4. So we're not Arjun. Like, Arjun can make it a 3/4, and that's kind of good. Just like 2 mana for a 3/4 provoke to put in the way of stuff. That's pretty strong. But we can't really take advantage of that in any real way. We don't have, like, minion payoffs or anything. So I think I just picked the bad removal spell over the bad speed bump, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense? Oh my god, more legendaries. Oh my god, another LX. That is absurd. We could take Sarlacc for curve. Orbo actually sucks. I'm really sad about this, but Orbo actually sucks. Like, the vast majority of the cards we've already drafted are better than a random prismatic legendary by a margin. It would look a bit better if we picked that Bloodbond Mentor, though. That Elix skin. Ah, it's nice, isn't it? No, the only real reason to pick Orbo here is for curve, and I'd actually honestly rather have Sarlacc. Sarlacc is surprisingly annoying. Like, it's basically, it's a ping. It's like having a Cassiva BBS. It's unreliable, but that's okay. Because it also does things like allowing you to, like, oh, whoops, Sarlacc's in the corner now, we can play a ranged unit. It sucks against Dispel, obviously, but, you know, people don't necessarily have that all the time. But, like, screw all that, I'm just picking Alex again, because this card is insane. Also, Alex stacks. Ooh, Griffin Fledgling, that's good. But is it better than Elk Owl? Prison Barrier is fine, as well. Like, kind of reasonable, but we don't really need it. Like, it overlaps a lot with our BBS. So Alcowl is obviously better than Griffin Fledgling when it gets ranged or blast, and I guess worse otherwise. The Fledgling is quite reliable. It is basically a Wings of Paradise that is a 5 that has 5 power in your opponent's turn as well, which is quite a strong effect. Bird greater than bird. Yeah. The golden Sarlacc skin's cool, isn't it? Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think I'm going to try the Fledgling here over the Alcowl, just because I haven't played with it as much. I like Alcowl; it's a good card, but let's go with this. Oh, there's the Afterblaze. I was literally about to say, hopefully we pick up an Afterblaze at some point, because we've got 3 good Zeal units. One's cheap, one has flying, and one's huge and heals itself. So we are slamming this. It's also good with Veil Hunter. Warblade, Dragonlark, Primus, Shieldmaster. So Warblade, how many golems do we have? I think we have 0. So it's literally just a 1/4. Oh, we have 1 golem, but it's expensive. Compared to Primus, I think that's... we really need curve, but I think, you know, having cards that do things later on in the game is also important. So I'm going to pick this for now, and we'll make Desperation picks a little later. The Scientist, that draws a card when we BBS. Alcuin Lawmaster, we have a couple of spells to recur, and we can steal opposing spells, it's probably not worth it. This deck has some hella late game, we just need to not die early on. That'll do. That's a reasonable early drop. That's pretty good, actually. Okay, High Hand is so bad I'm not even going to even try and make it out as good. There. Boom! Oh! I love Sworn Defender and Zir'an so much. Oh, if we get a heal payoff later and I haven't picked this, I'm going to be so sad. But we don't have any AoE, so the Sunset Paragon is probably the way to go. It's also, we don't have any removal that kills big things. Just trading, so I think we need this. I like Groveline, but it's worse on the curve and honestly not as good of a card. Holy fuck, so much good stuff. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about the curve, which often happens, to be fair. Like, my Gauntlet decks very rarely have good curves nowadays because the variance is quite high. Guess I just take the cheaper one that has Provoke, so we don't die as much. Rogue Warden isn't even terrible. Like, it's not as bad as I thought it was. We don't massively need Necroseer in this deck, because we have a bunch of, like, value-generating high drops, and the curve's kind of high, so the draw card isn't necessarily relevant. So I'll just pick a Primus. 2 drops! 2 drops that heal me! Even better. Get in my deck as a Herald. Another Silverguard Knight, another Silverguard Knight. Shore up that low end. Oh. Your general and nearby friendly minions gain takes no damage this turn. I've seen this card be good against me once. I think that's the only time I've seen anyone cast it. Beam Shock is like good if you have Arcanists, I guess. But I guess I would just pick the Legion here, it's fine. Ooh, Naga or Flamewing? So, as mentioned, we're a little low on AoE. In that we just have this. Oh, we have the Sunbreaker as well, so we don't really need the Frostbone Naga as much. So I'll take this instead. It's a little more proactive. Ooh, hard removal or a proactive cheap creature. I think we need the creature more. We're really low on minions in the early turns. Later on we're fine. Martynum's really good. We have Sunset Paragon, and if we didn't, I would consider it a lot more strongly. But I think we need this more. Come on, 2 drops. Not that 2-drop. Fine. We'll just hope to go second a lot. A lot. Ooh. This card is very, very good. This card is also very, very good. I'm not picking Zor. Zor doesn't help with the hand size because it just puts another useless card back in your hand. But also, like, 2-drops that can't move, there's genuinely no point in playing them. Like, Battle Pets don't count because they can't take tiles and they'll usually just plunge themselves to their deaths. The only exceptions are the ones that are good enough that you just want them in play anyway. So Pax, Ooze, Grow are all strong because they apply a bunch of pressure early on. But I actually don't count cards like Zora as 2-drops because it just dies for free, right? I mean, Zor at least puts something back in your hand, but like, it's going to put something bad in your hand, so it doesn't really matter. Like, it's so unlikely that it's going to hit Mechazor now, and the only other really good one is Cannon, and most other mechs just aren't useful. If you know, from all the ones I can remember anyway. No, Nightmare Operant. That's a Mechazor generator. Because the odds of drawing Mechazor in like a longish game of Nightmare Operant are not actually that low. You know, if you play like a 9-turn game, you're probably like, I'm trying to remember my Flash Wanderer maths, like 40% to see it or something, which is not terrible. 40% to draw freaking Mechazor is like, that's pretty good. But you do pay a cost for having that 3-2 in your deck. Hey Roxy, I would absolutely love to watch the stream, but I've been trying to make my internet work properly for like 20 minutes now. Oh no, that sucks, I'm so sorry. Can you actually... So we're 2 picks before the end. Oh, you can't hear me. Let me type. I quite like Radiant Dragoon, and I'm sort of tempted to pick it for the variety, but I suspect the Fledgling might just be better enough that it's worth it. But I think this is super, super close. We have 2 Silver God Knights, 2 Primal Shield Masters, a Suntide Maiden, and 2 Alexes, all of which really, really like extra toughness. So actually, maybe this is worth it. We also have Legion. And Radiant Dragoon's good with Legion because it makes it and the Crestfallen into 3 health minions, which is pretty impactful. Yeah, actually, you know what? I think that's convincing. I think we take the Dragoon here. Just gonna update Roxanne. I don't know. That's pretty close. Maybe the Fledgling is just enough flexibility. Oh yeah, that was it. Our opponent got really good Radiant Dragoon RNG in the last game as well. That like massively changed the game. Just like the 1 extra health on the Venom Toth that 1 turn, and then the Crestfallen in the next. So the 1 and 2 and a 1 and 3. Because it can buff itself. Or can it? No, can it buff itself? I think it can. Yeah, it can. Oh. The 2 provokes and a Dragoon on board is a 66% chance. That is true. Still pretty good though. You know what? Let's try it. Oh, Trinity Oath. That is a good card. That is a hell of a card. Like, we don't really need the card advantage, but it's probably better enough than the other options just on sheer card quality. Like, it means we can afford being a little careless with our resources at times, like trading off aggressively and stuff. Because we do have these, we also have these small low impact cards to make up for. And with Trinity Oath, we don't necessarily have to replace them. We can use them just to double spell, get a little bit of extra value or tempo, and then refill with Trinity Oath. Chapuka is hella fun, but it's not actually that good. My experience with it is that it's hard to find a moment to play it. It is pretty spicy against BBS minion decks. Like, it really messes with their positioning. Which is pretty relevant because those are most of the good ones. You know what, let's pick it. We don't need the card draw. We have like a high curve and a bunch of value generators. We're not like lacking in it. So let's go with it.